Tonight, we're discussing capitalizing on your moment on Peanut Butter Magic. Stay tuned.
It's the Peanut Butter Magic Show. It's the Peanut Butter Magic Show.
Welcome, everybody, to Peanut Butter Magic, the show where we talk about the life of an entertainer from an indies perspective. My name is Swalo, and as usual, I have my main man, Brandon Boston Austin, on the line with me. What's going on, boss?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Everything's good, man. Everything's good. How you?
Man, I'm doing great. Seeing that Wakanda Forever tonight, so I'm excited. Vandy beat the UK Wildcats.
I ain't mad at that either.
Good weekend. It's a good weekend.
You said it's snowing out there where you are?
It has been snowing off and on. We're not getting like any coverage on the ground or anything, but yeah, it's been snowing.
Yeah, it's pretty cold here too, man. I can't even lie to you. It's pretty cold and whatnot. But they say it's supposed to warm up this week, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, man. It's the forecast here. It's just straight 20s and 40s all week long.
Yeah?
Ugh.
Yeah, it's brutal out there, man. If you ain't never been to Kentucky in the winter, don't let it be in the South fool you, man.
Right.
It is cold, yo.
Yeah, man. Last year they shut the interstates down because of snow, and I hadn't seen that kind of coverage in years.
Wow.
Oh, it's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, I've been there in the wintertime a couple times. It is not pleasant. Let me tell you.
How's everything going with you, man? What you been up to this weekend?
Let me see. This weekend, I just kind of stayed at the house. I finished my uncle's record, his first record. So we did that. And, you know, he's an elder statesman, and it's his first time recording, I think, in his life. And he chose to do it with me. And it's a really good song. I sent it to my old producer this morning for him to take a listen to, and he called me and he was like, "Your uncle is the truth." He was like, "You should have been putting something out." So
wow.
So I spent my time working in the studio, just kind of doing that. You know what I mean?
What's it like? Fun. What's it like putting a Christmas record together when it's not Christmas? Are you got like Jingle Bells playing in the background, watching Christmas movies in July, trying to get
when I was doing the production, yes, I absolutely had to. I watched 2 movies, and I put on some Christmas Carol just to get me in the mood. Yes. But once he cut the vocals, it was like it just all kind of came together. I recruited my children in on the act, so they sang a little bit, and my lady friend, she sang choir in high school, so I recruited her and her son too. So it was like
wow,
it's like one big thing. And
it's a family affair.
Moving on. Speaking of affairs, tonight we're gonna discuss capitalizing on your moment. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is, you know, there are windows in the journey that you take and what we do. You know what I mean? You get opportunities to, you know, kind of come in and do your thing, and sometimes they're very short-lived, and other times, you know, they can span over the course of a long period of time. But a lot of times, you think that moment is gonna be there all the time, or it's never gonna leave, or you can do this later, or pass it off somewhere else, thinking that, you know, I'm here now, I've arrived. So, you know, I don't have to deal with that right now. And a lot of times your 15 minutes of fame, it's just that, 15 minutes. You know, and you may not get another shot at doing something great in that regard. You know, a guy like me, I've had a lot of window moments. You know what I mean? Tons. Sometimes they were my moments. Sometimes they were moments on the backs of others. But I've been fortunate to see different moments in different times and figure out ways to be the best version of myself in those moments. And that's what I want to talk about tonight. I don't, there's probably some indie artists, indie actors, indie comedians, indie dancers, anybody looking to live that quote unquote showbiz life. And then you get a break and you think this is gonna catapult me to whatever, to where I can have some longevity. But you're only as good as your last hit. And if your last hit was a long time ago, you're only as good as a long time ago. But what can you do in the moments that you have to make the most of those window opportunities? Let's talk about it, boss.
And I remember when that first album with Evolution dropped.
Yeah.
And it became like the highest seller in the history of that record store in the mall in Columbia.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like it outsold like 50 Cent. It outsold Creed.
Yep.
I don't know what the numbers for any of these people are, but I remember in that one store, the Evolution album outsold everybody.
Everybody, yeah.
Like you couldn't go anywhere without an Evolution shirt on and somebody not calling you out like,
Absolutely.
Hey man, I listened to that.
Yep.
Yo, I know them. Are you in that group? Oh, what's up, man? This is before everybody was taking pictures and posting selfies. It was like people still had like little cameras in their pockets that they're taking photos with their friends,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like I went from like nothing, just like high school, trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, to like meeting these guys and shooting some videos with them, to like being famous in Colombia. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, like nobody ever, I never go anywhere and people are like, I know who you are. But if I had an Evolution shirt on in Colombia, somebody was talking to me and it was wild.
Oh yeah.
And after a while that just kind of went away, because it was like we've got this thing, we got this product, this album, and it's great. And there's like a community that's built around it. And, they had a song that came out for a time when someone in the community had passed away. Mm-hmm. And so like everything was just hitting. And then I don't think they capitalized on the moment. I think they got, stuck in that moment and didn't know if they needed to do anything else. I mean, that's what it looked like from the outside anyway. And it was just kind of over.
That's an interesting take. That's an interesting take. And I lived that moment with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all I wanted to do was capitalize on the moment. You know what I mean? So, but, as we know, that was like 40,000 years ago. And not to make any excuses for anyone or anything or whatever the case may be, but, the guys were fresh out of high school. You were like just starting college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And those were factors. You're dealing with parents. You know what I mean? And, because you're dealing with some young kids. And so parents are in play, and you're having to explain. Well, I'm having to explain myself, and this is the reason why I feel like we should move in this direction and stuff like that. It wasn't it wasn't easy. And we did it, I think, to some degree, whereas it was more so like, okay, we gonna press up some CDs. We knew we could sell some records. You know what I mean? So we pressed up some CDs and went out and hit the street. And then, we did some shows, made sure we got on some stages, but it was the type of stages that we were able to grace during that moment that stood out amongst the rest of our peers. They weren't able to be in venues that we were performing in.
Right.
So now we're playing in these venues, and I'm thinking, okay, how can we capitalize on this moment? So then the merchandise came into play. Well, we had T-shirts and whatever else, autograph pictures and whatever else we were pushing on the people at the time, and we were doing those things. And then what I think happened is that as the success kept growing and growing and growing, I think we kind of took the opportunities for granted.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Because we're thinking that we're the hottest thing since sliced bread. Nobody's doing it hotter than us. Nobody's gonna do it hotter than us. And as long as we keep doing something, they're gonna pay attention. And like you said, it all just kind of faded away.
Yep. Yep. And then trying to recapture that moment, trying to find that again, I feel like was more of a challenge, because it's not like we were starting over again. We had a chip on our shoulder.
Right.
And it was very difficult to start from, square one, when if we would have just kept that momentum rolling, we would have had a different outcome, I think.
I agree. And I remember, because, you left and went to school, and Luke Jones left and went to school. And, I was doing other things at the time. I tried my hands in other media forms, did that, saw some success in that. And even without you guys being in the picture, my opportunity was stretched out even longer. And on a whole nother platform, a whole nother scale, there were people that now knew me not for being a musician. They knew me as someone who was on television. Like, it went from them writing about Swalo the rapper to Swalo the TV producer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't even the same ballpark at that moment. Now I'm starting to be recognized for that, even though in my mind I'm thinking I'm still just a musician. I just happened to luck up on this shit. You know what I mean? Wasn't anything intentional, but my moment was stretched even longer than the band. So I had to find a way to capitalize off of that also, because when I first got the gig, I wasn't getting paid. I was doing production. I was putting together these shows and these episodes and things of that nature, but I wasn't making any money from the distributors or anything. I just had the airtime on television. So I capitalized on that moment and started selling commercial ads, within the television show itself. I mean, not being pissed off that they wasn't paying me, but looking at it as this is an opportunity for me to pay myself. So fuck them if they don't want to pay me. Matter of fact, if you don't pay me, you're not in my business, so therefore I can do whatever the hell I want to do. Then they found out that I was getting paid, then they started to pay me. So, but as long as I wasn't capitalizing on the moment, they felt that I guess I wasn't necessary, But I showed them I could be lucrative on my own. I don't need you to pay me to see the opportunity. And sometimes a lot of people get caught up in the what am I getting paid? They ain't paying, I ain't this. And stuff like that. But for me, I look at the uniqueness of it all. What's unique about the opportunity to where I can make a move for myself and don't care whether or not they pay me? Because you could potentially make more money on the opportunity than you can with the salary. So, but recognize when your opportunity comes. Recognize it. Don't look at the negative points of it. Look at the positive. I'm on the radio. I have my own radio show. That means I have a world within myself. Like the show itself is the world. And then the gaps are the businesses, the ad spaces. So same with the radio station. I wasn't getting paid when I first got there, but I understood the process from television. They're still selling ads at the end of the day.
Right.
They're still doing that. I've learned how to sell ads. I've learned that skill set. So, you know, I can apply the same things that I did on television to radio and not worry about per se if they're paying me anything. Now, and granted, this ain't iHeart or this is like mom and pop from the town type of deal, you know, which gives you a lot of leeway to kind of do things. And again, once they saw that I was able to go out and make some money on the opportunity, then they wanted to pay me. You know what I mean? It became a control issue at that point.
Right.
You know, so, but I didn't cry about them not putting me on the salary. I didn't cry about it. I was grateful that they gave me the airtime. Let me do what I do. So.
And then you created your own revenue.
Absolutely. But the main thing is don't become so big a star in your mind that you lose sight of what the objective is. Unless being a star is the objective, you know, to where you don't care about the business aspect of it all, as long as people know who you are, you know. But you can't lose sight of the financial side and the moments that you have in order to make some serious moves, because they might not be there tomorrow.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I remember being in college and getting a call from you one day about this new show that you were working on.
Mm-hmm.
And like the guys had all like split up and gone off to do their own projects and follow, you know, go out down their own paths. And if I remember correctly, like you're the only one out of them that found success after that Evolution album.
Yeah.
And you know that everybody came back together and they did some more projects. They separated their own projects, and all in the meanwhile, like you're in the background, like just out grinding, hustling, putting shows together. You didn't just take over the music scene in town. You branched out into television and radio, started your own broadcasting network,
Yep.
like capitalizing on the moment. Like just follow that guy, man. He's got that how-to plan. You know what I mean? And it worked, and it worked, and it's inspiring, and it's a shame that everybody couldn't find a path that was kind of like that. But I know that you saw an opportunity and you jumped on it. You know,
and I also tried to bring the guys along. There was a moment to where like we really didn't speak, and it wasn't because we weren't in close proximity of each other.
yeah,
Things got ugly, you know, at one point, and I think, and I could be wrong, but I think it came from the other side, from the mere fact that I was still going. You know what I mean? And they were still trying to like find their way. I remember Luke Jones and I recorded the Cold Black album. And that started pretty much on, he gave me a call and he was like, man, I just want to come see you. I ain't seen you in a while. I think we should talk. I just want to come see you. So I was like, okay. So he came by and he hung out for like 3 or 4 hours. He hung out for a long time. And we did a lot of catching up, and he played some music for me that he and the guys had recorded, and I wasn't there. Now, granted, I wasn't on many Evolution records to begin with. You know what I mean? I always kind of they always cut records, and then I came in on the end of it all and did 3 songs, and we called it a band. You know what I mean? But he had played me these records, and they were good. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. I was very impressed at the quality of the work that they were doing as a band. And I was like, why is it that you guys can't make this go? And he was like, because we ain't getting along. For one, everybody's always jealous of this guy, and this guy wants to move in this direction, and this guy wants to do this, and he don't want to do that, and I don't want to do this, and it was like the only thing that they were in agreement with was the finished product of when they got into the studio. Because even leading up to the sessions in the songwriting process or whatever they were doing, there's a lot of bickering going on with that too. So ultimately, it felt like it came down to, I'll show Sway Lo. We don't need him. And they don't. I'm not saying anything in that regard at all. But I think the motivation may have been misguided in why they were doing what they were doing. Because it wasn't a matter of whether or not they made good songs. So in that process, Luke and I, we discussed what happened with the band. We discussed it and laid out some hard truth. I think that's why Luke and I are as tight as we are today, because we really did get serious with one another in that time and found a way to get past stuff. And so he was like, what do you think we should make some records? And when he said, I got this one beat, is what he said. I got this one beat. You want to get on it with me? So I'm like, sure. So he brought the track over, and the track was bananas, man. It was very cinematic and very dramatic, and it was like, okay, so he brings that record over, and we cut the record. Now, he was going to college, and he was like, I come home every other weekend or every weekend or something like that. He was like, can I come back when I come back? And I was like, yeah. And then this became like 2-3 times a month. He would come by the house. And we did 2 or 3 songs. And next thing you know, he was like, we should do something. And Lucas started rapping differently too than he was when he was in the band. Because the band was very boy bandish, for lack of better words. And he started doing a little more edgier stuff. And it was like, okay. So then 1 record turned into 2, 2 turned into 3, 3 turned into 12. And Code Black was formed. It wasn't anything that we set out to do, but again, capitalizing on the moment. We had a moment together and put the record out. But as you know, doing the music is the easy part. Getting it out to the public can be a bit of a challenge, when you're dealing in band situations, especially during that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a friend out here that makes music.
Mm-hmm.
And like, as far as songwriters go, he's probably one of the better of people that I know personally. Like, he's very, very talented in the songwriting aspect. Vocally, hit or miss, sometimes great, sometimes not. But the songs that he puts together and he's played for me are just beautiful songs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you've recorded this, get it mixed and mastered and release it. Like, do something with it. And the fun for him ends when he's finished recording the song. And it just blows my mind that there's just, your computer's filled with content that I think people would really enjoy. and you've just that's it. That's all you wanted. That's all you wanted to do. You had an idea, you made a product out of it, and then you kept it to yourself.
Mm.
I just don't understand. I don't understand it at all. I don't know if it's a confidence thing or not, but like if to me, I just feel like if you're gonna take the time to put in all the effort to create your own studio in your house, especially, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right? And then
Yeah.
hours and hours and hours of learning how to use it, all of the talent and skill and time that goes into learning how songwriting works and forming melodies and keeping the song like together, you know, the hooks and the verses and just the order of things, and creating a tune that will be played in people's ears wherever they can find it. All of that time and effort to just stop because
Right.
you don't want to or know what to do after you've created the art just boggles me. And I always reference evolution when I talk about this stuff because I know for a fact that there are hundreds of hours of songs that have been written and recorded and they never saw the light of day.
Yep.
And it's just take that extra step. Just put it out there. Put it out there. Put it out there every day. Put it out. You could drop a new song every day for a year. Come on.
Yep.
And it just, I don't know, it blows my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And now it's at a point to where now it's like everybody's kind of doing their own thing. I guess I don't talk to everybody on a regular anymore. But it looks like the guys are just kind of doing their own thing, if anything. And when I say the guys, I mean like everybody, like Streets and Juice and you know, the whole clan. You know, some people have moved on since our days of old, you know, doing other things with their lives and stuff like that. I don't know. I've always been one to just try to look at the opportunity and see how can I make it work for me, if it
Yeah.
can work for me, you know.
Yeah. Sometimes that's really difficult, though, I think, because it's like somebody brings you a product and they want you to get involved. And I don't know, there was I was trying to put like a music show together similar to what we did on Columbia Power and Water
Right.
here in Lexington.
Mhm.
I was new to the area, and I was just social media, like going to some of the venues. There's not a lot of venues around here actually for local artists, but I was going to the ones that you know, have shows pretty regularly, and trying to find bands and solo artists and just compiling like a group of people that I could put this show together. And someone introduced me to this small production company, and this lady was pretty much the same idea. I mean, it was like almost mirror images of an episode, and she had a team. And so I was like, you know, I'm out here trying to put this together myself. You're lacking the video department, and I'm lacking everything else.
Right. Right.
So it's like, let's team up. This is, and I felt like I was capitalizing on my opportunity right there, because this is a huge step forward in trying to put this show together. And, you know, we recorded a couple episodes, but I don't know that they ever saw the light of day because the direction that we were going in was different. And we went to a couple, we interviewed a couple bands. We went to their performances and we got some recordings of them, and like everything seemed to be moving forward. And at the end, it just kind of fell apart. And I handed over all my footage, and you know, I'd like to give excuses for why it never went past that stage, but you know, it was one of those times when the opportunity was there, and I don't know, whoever was supposed to take the initiative to put it out for the world to see, that never happened.
I see.
You know,
I see.
it looked good to me, but
Yeah.
you know, It wasn't my show anymore.
Gotcha.
You know.
So you didn't have the rights to put it out yourself?
You know, I probably could have, in all honesty, because a lot of the creative process that went on in the background, I provided. But at the end of the day, I walked away from what I was trying to accomplish to become a crew member for what someone else was doing, because we seemed like we were heading in the same direction.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw that the show was not going in that way, I completed my agreement and walked away from it. And I never heard anything after that. And you know, this area, there are so many musicians here. I have met a ton of musicians that live in central Kentucky, and there just isn't an outlet for that. And even though I've had the opportunity to be a part of the music scene here a few times, there just isn't. I'm used to Nashville, you know, that's
Right.
what I'm used to, where everybody's doing it. And here it's like people are doing it at home and it doesn't really go anywhere.
So they're basically where our town was when I first got here.
Yeah, they're pre-evolution.
Gotcha.
That's what it is here.
Gotcha.
It is,
And I remember going out to people and like, where do y'all do your shows? And people were like, we ain't never did no show. Like, what?
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. So they're not capitalizing on that moment.
They're not. And you know, a lot of the venues here don't accept local talent. It's a local bar, and they have a stage, and they allow bands to come in. But if I had a demo and I brought it to them and said, hey, I want to perform here, they don't accept that type of submission. So you have to have management. You have to have it's not set up for the band who performs in their garage. It's set up for those who have graduated from that stage and have moved on. And unfortunately, local artists, there's not a lot of people that have graduated from that. Most of the bands don't have videos. They don't have social media presence. They're just in a band. And it's the same thing. Like I'd go to one of these places and I'd meet like somebody who was a member of the band, like, hey, you know, I'm Brand, I'm a filmmaker, blah, 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 blah. He's like, oh, well, our band is doing this. We're about to go on the road. You should talk to this band. And so I'd contact that band, go through the introduction again, and be like, let me know where your shows are. I'd like to come out and see. He'd let me listen to some of your music, but I can't find it streaming anywhere. And they're like, oh yeah, we don't do distribution like that.
Wow.
What?
Wow.
Like, yeah, no, we don't do that. We got some CDs. Yeah, that's cool. My car doesn't even have a CD player.
Right. You know what I mean?
Like that worked in 1995. That doesn't
Right.
work anymore. You know, you guys got to like step it up. You're never going to get out of that phase if you don't try, you know. Where do you perform at? When's your next show? Oh, we don't have any shows booked. What?
That's crazy.
What? Like, even if it's 6 months away, I expect something.
Right. I played nursing homes, Brandon, when I first got here. 9 of them, to be exact.
Man.
9 nursing homes. I played gas station. I played wherever I could play. Because as we said earlier, this place wasn't designed for that either. No one was doing that either. But again, capitalizing on the moment. You know what I mean? And a lot of the people that own the gas stations were like from, you know, not from this country. So I'm going in with a foreign concept to someone who's an immigrant. You know, they ain't never had nobody come in and ask, yo, can I play the sidewalk of your gas station for like 45 minutes and shit and try to sell my record and whatnot? You know what I'm saying? So, but they let me play. They let me play. But I started at nursing homes. You know, sometimes you can't start at the top.
Right.
You know, if one of those bands in your town really wanted to play live, but it's not set up for live venues, play your backyard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do that. Invite some people over. set up a situation in your backyard and go to town.
Yep.
Make it happen. Create that buzz. The nursing homes, I think they let me come because I wasn't charging a whole lot of money, and they needed entertainment for their residents. Regardless. And I would go in and rap. You know what I mean? I would. And, these 60, 70, 80, I remember one guy got up and left. You know what I mean? Like, right as soon as I started, he just walked back to his room. I remember that. You know what I mean? And, but for the most part, the majority of the people stayed. And after my set, they all wanted to talk to me. All of them. All of them. There's a good chance that some of them haven't had anybody come see them in 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that I spent time with them, even if it was just 10 minutes chatting with them, that's more time than anybody else outside of the facilities has done. And they would buy my CD and would tell me, I didn't understand anything you said, but I want to support you, baby. Here's $10. You know what I mean? And make it happen. Capitalizing on your moment. And for the people that did get the Sunday visits and whatnot, who you think they're going to be telling their family about when their family comes see them? Don't tell them about me.
Right.
And they're going to show them the CD. Like, this black guy came out here and he blew my mind with what he was doing, but I bought a CD from him. Here's his name. And then they, that's a possibility that they may go look me up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But capitalizing on your moment. I didn't look at the crowd being a bunch of old people that don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I didn't see it as that. I saw it for a way to get myself in front of some people.
Right.
And just did it that way.
Right. I also love, like we've learned recently that these social media platforms are paying more for videos to release on.
Right.
Because that's more traffic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've got these guys that are or gals, I don't mean to be men only, know. I don't want no women on my radio station, but you've got these musicians that are in the studio, whether that's at their house or they're paying time to go somewhere and record, like capitalizing on your moment. Like that's the perfect opportunity to shoot some video.
Absolutely.
Like if you're the guitar player and the vocalist is in the booth, laying down some tracks, stand out there and film it, right? And then post it, because your fans are going to love to see this 30-second video of you putting a song together. And if they've never heard it before and you just release like a short sample of the hook.
Exclusive.
Yeah. That's something for them to look forward to.
Yep.
Like, hey, we've got this album coming out next year. We're working on it. Here's a video. Oh man, I can't wait to see that. And they're going to start paying attention to your profile because they want to know when that's going to drop again. Like I use Tech Nine as an example. I'm a huge fan of Tech Nine, and he drops content all day long.
Right.
And to be honest, a lot of times there's so much. He's on my news feed so much that a lot of times I'll just swipe right through it because chances are I've seen something related to it because he's constantly posting. But when he posts that there's an album coming out, I got to look at every single post because I want to know that release date.
Right.
I want to know when it's coming. I want to know what to expect. I want to know who's going to be on it. Well, I'm starting to get excited, and it gives me something to look forward to. And that's just more traffic, like bands that are in the studio, man, record video and release it on social media. Release it as clips, release photographs, release anything you can. Because if you're working, you don't have to just wait for that album to come out to sell it. You can release the video, you can release the photo. People are going to share it. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah. I think you can get maybe out of one film, one comedy set, one dance routine, whatever it is you got going on, if you're in a play, whatever you got going on, if you're promoting it online, you should be able to get at least anywhere between 4 to 7 different ways to present that one thing to the people. And it can stretch out, you know, the longevity of what it is that you got going on. You know.
And then you can go back to it.
Yep.
You know, like that's another thing I'm still mentioning Tech Nine is because like one of those posts that I see when I'm scrolling through social media is like a clip from a video that came out 5 years ago. And he's like, man, somebody shared, you know, this clip and it reminded me of this moment. And here's a little discussion about it. Well, I haven't seen that video in 2 or 3 years. Now I want to go back and watch it again.
Right.
Bam. You just got another view. You know?
Yep. And this is the time where being independent is more, you know, profitable, lucrative, more, there's more access, there's more these days than it was back when we first got started, you know? You can do so much more. Don't be afraid to capitalize on your moment. It may be short-lived. You, like you said earlier, you might not be able to recreate that magic again, you know?
Yep. And I hate when bands take time off. Like,
Yeah.
not because they don't deserve it, you know, like you're a musician, you know what touring is like. That's just got to be one of the most stressful things you can do.
Right.
Get a new place every single day, having to perform the same songs in front of a different crowd night after night after night. And bands will tour for years, you know, and then they finally take that well-deserved break. But then when they come back, it's just different.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. And it's like, man.
Yep.
Wish I wouldn't have quit.
Right. Right.
You know?
But it gets like that. It does. You have that moment. Some people don't get to live it twice.
That's right.
You know what I mean? They don't. You know, lightning, you know, striking in a bottle type.
Yeah.
You know, or capturing lightning in a bottle. You know what I mean? Capturing lightning in a bottle, that can be hard to do.
Yeah.
You know? No. I've had some other people get hot and just be a part of their project, you know. And that's another kind of reinvention, you know, reinventing yourself, you know. I haven't always had to play the front, you know, in order to capitalize on my moment again. And I think helping someone else reach their goals can be helpful too. You know, it can definitely help your career. You know, I tell people, I say, if I'm in New Edition, I can be Bobby Brown or Ronnie DeVoe. It don't matter. Whatever the job needs, I can be it. You know, I don't have to be Bobby Brown all the time. I don't.
Right.
But if there's a need for me to be Bobby Brown, I'm Bobby Brown. But if there's not, I can be Mike Bivins. I can be him too. It doesn't matter. I'm a team player when it comes to whatever it is that we got going on.
Yeah.
You know? And you could also get another moment, a different kind of moment at that time. But learn how to capitalize on that moment also.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. There's comedians that I've met that will, like all the comedians like seem to host shows throughout the year. Like everybody wants to take on that MC role and put on a show. And, you know, if there's ticket sales involved, then that's a way to bring in some extra cash. And I can't tell you how many times people have been booked at shows that they had no interest in even going to.
Right.
And then just decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and go out tonight. And, you know, that comedian who's there, like, yo, I got a show I'm putting up. I thought you were hilarious. You know, this is how much it pays. You want to come out? Here's the date. And it's like, man, I wasn't even going to come out tonight, you know, but you just didn't walk away from an opportunity and,
Right.
and it opened itself up for you. And it happens all the time. And it's just getting out and doing it.
How are you keeping yourself motivated to keep going out like that?
I've had a lot of good nights.
That'll
Good.
do it.
Yeah, good nights feel real good. Like when I'm doing shows, like every night of the week that's available, it's because I feel like I'm killing, you know.
Yeah.
And I know that down the road I'll look back and be like, you weren't killing. You know? Like I remember when I first started, like I had some great nights, and I was like, man, I am great at this.
Yeah.
And then I look back at it, and if I got one laugh, I walked away just cheeking ear to ear, you know. And it's like, oh no, I bombed that night. That was a bomb. I don't like those anymore, you know. And so when I have when I have good nights, night after night after night, that's that motivation. And then I'll have like a real shit night, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not coming back tomorrow, but I'll
Right.
do it anyway because
Right.
I got to. You know, but that's the motivation. Just I get to see myself get better because I'm still in the beginning of it. Like I meet comics that have been doing this for 4 or 5 years, and I see how I notice their presence on stage is so much different than somebody who has been doing it for as long as I have. And I see that there's opportunity. So that's that motivation to keep going.
So what are the things that you've seen within yourself to where you see the improvements just for yourself?
Just for myself, I think my 2 main improvements have been memorization and confident on stage. I've seen like actors do monologues, and I'm like, how do you remember that? Comedians go up and do an hour set, and how do you remember that? Like I could study for weeks and then get to the test and go, did I study for this? You know, like I can't remember shit, but being able, like I've got sets now that like I'll go in and, you know, it's like a 3-minute night, and the MC is like, hey, you can do 5 tonight. You can do 7 tonight.
Oh wow.
And I don't need to go back through my phone and be like, oh man, I need extra minutes. Like, what am I going to do? Like they're already there. Like I've done them so many times now. Oh, I got 3 extra minutes. I'll tell this joke.
Yeah.
I got 2 extra minutes. I'll tell the extended version of the joke I was going to tell tonight. You know, and then the second is just the stage presence. Like I mentioned, meeting the people that do this 4 or 5 years, and their presence on stage is so much better than where someone like myself is. And I look back at where I was and how uncomfortable I was in the beginning, and just doing it over and over and over and over and over and over again. Like I can walk out on stage and be like, all right, here we go. The jokes might not land, but
Right.
like I'm solid in where I am, you know, being on the stage.
Yeah. Cause it's gotta be tough. I remember, do they still, like when I was coming up, comedians used to do comedy albums. To where it was almost like a singing album, a music album, to where, but they would, you know how like you got on a CD cover, you got song titles, track 1 is this, track 2 is that, track
Yeah,
3 is
yeah.
that. They used to do that with comedy albums, to where like they would do number 1, this joke, number 2, that joke, number 3, that joke, number 4, that joke, number 5, that joke. So I guess if you're writing the jokes, and you know the 5th one out is gonna be talking about your dog, maybe you've done them so many times to where you just know, okay, after this joke, I'm going here. And it's going to segue into that. Maybe that's how they're able to remember. I'm asking.
Well, you know, I don't know the answer to that because I haven't done anything that's like an album. Those are usually like the hour specials.
Okay.
And I haven't done anything for that long before, but I've gone to see some like big name professionals in arenas and whatnot, and they have a set list on stage.
Yeah.
I've seen it. And like you said, that track list, I can't see what the words are. Obviously,
Right.
it's too far away, but I can see that piece of paper that has bullet points on it, and it's just laying on the floor.
Yeah.
And so I think, anyways, and maybe not all of them do it. Maybe it's just, you know, the 1 or 2 that I've seen. Maybe that's not common. I don't know the answer, but they have that little cheat sheet down there. So when because you know, when you're doing your sets, it changes every night. You know, my 5 minutes tonight will be different than my 5 minutes tomorrow. Not because I may not even know that I'm going to tweak something, but an audience member may say something and throw me off and throw me in a new direction. And so like if I'm in that set, like I've got a joke right now that I'm doing where I don't like being an adult, and I'm comparing childhood to an adult, because when you're a kid, all you want to do is grow up. And then when you're an adult, you're like, responsibilities,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And one of my jokes is about how there's no Toys R Us anymore. And I'm just landing these jokes left and right. And I was like, now that I'm an adult and I can buy whatever toy I want, Toys R Us don't even exist anymore.
Right.
And this guy in the audience went, no, they're bringing it back. No. I want it to come back, but now this joke doesn't work anymore.
Right.
I was like, what do you mean it's coming back? He said, oh, well, I didn't mean to throw you off, man, but I was just letting you know they're starting to open back up. Son of a bitch.
Get him out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, and so like it threw me off, and I remember I kind of sat there for a second, and then I've got a bit where you remember that old Nickelodeon show where they would give a kid like 30 seconds and he'd run through Toys R Us and like fill all the toys in his cart. So I was going to go into that joke, but I was just kind of stuck now that, all right, well, now the audience knows that Toys R Us is a thing again. I don't know that I even want to continue here.
Right.
But if I had that sheet, you know, that piece of paper on the floor that had my bullet points of the order that I was going to go in, I could just, it wouldn't even matter where my train of thought was. There's the list, and I could just bounce right into that one, you know, just skip over it completely. So I assume that other people do that, but I don't know, maybe it just depends on the person.
Because I hear a lot of comedians, they say like, I try new material at different nightclubs all the time. Like the ones that have the Netflix specials.
Yeah.
I'll spend next year trying new jokes here, there, perfecting them, rewriting them. By the time my special comes into play, you know, I've got it so tight, you know. But I'm always wondering, you're trying these jokes that you're gonna put on a Netflix special out in these clubs, so people have actually heard these jokes before. But I guess they got to try them somewhere. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh yeah. A lot of comedians like Bobby Lee. He claims that he's been doing the same hour for the last 10 or 15 years. Interesting. And you know, when you go see like we went and saw Tom Segura. He's touring right now. Okay. And so we went and saw his latest tour. And to my understanding, he's going to record that tour in a couple weeks. And then when his tour is over, it'll become a Netflix special. And so he's had an opportunity to tour around the world with it, and he's refined it, he's tightened it up, and then he's going to record it. And then once there's no more opportunity to buy a ticket and see it, then it'll hit Netflix. Because that way, not everyone in the world is going to go see him live. Only a very small number of people in each town go to see it. So there's the chance that all those other people that didn't go can now watch it at home.
Capitalizing on the moment.
That's right. That's right. It's a great system that didn't exist before. You might get an HBO special if you were a comedian. That was a big deal. But that was pretty much it. You did put out an album. That was that was your special. It became an album. And then you didn't want to, tour with the same material 5 years later. So you'd work on another hour. And that previous one would be on an album in a CD store somewhere that you could go buy. And now there's Netflix, so they can film it and then put it out, and you can see the video of it and watch it from home. Game has changed.
Yeah, sounds like it. So, do you have any ideas on how you're gonna capitalize on your moments going into your next season?
I do, but I don't want to share them because I have something new that I'm not seeing comedians do right now. So I have a plan. Okay. I have a plan. We'll see if it works. So if you watch it in a year or so from now, you come back and you watch this episode, maybe you'll be like, Oh, I saw that bullshit. That didn't work at all. Or maybe you'll be like, oh, I wonder if he was talking about that video he put out. That's dope. I hope it's the latter.
Right. So do I. A win for you is a win for me. So
Yes, sir.
win.
We'll find out.
But that's good that you have a plan. That's really what I wanted to hear, that you at least got something cooking.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. I'm trying to get done with this honey-do list so that I can get
Right.
back to working on it. So we'll see what happens.
Very good. How long is the list?
No, you don't want to know.
Okay. Okay.
She has an Excel spreadsheet. I wish that was a joke.
I believe it too for some reason. I really do.
Oh, man.
I
But
really do.
we're getting through it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's getting cold. Don't really want to do anything anyway. So
I know that's right.
just getting it
That's
done.
right. You know. But I guess wrapping up, man. Main thing I want to say again is you never know how long your moment is going to be. So for a guy like myself, I want to stretch my moment out as long. I want to turn that 15 minutes into 15 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just really capitalize on everything, every opportunity that comes. And I would suggest anyone that's watching to, you know, do it too. I wouldn't suggest you getting so caught up in your own hype to where you feel like you have to work less once you achieve more. Because finding success is just the beginning. Staying successful is the hard part. You know, being consistent, learning how to maintain what you have can be a challenge, you know. But some people, egos get in the way. And they're not able to live up to whatever full potential that they could be, or in the moment that they do have right then. You know? Don't be afraid to sell that t-shirt. Don't be afraid to, you know, sell that wristband or whatever the case may be. Don't be afraid to take the photo with the old man or the old woman, you know. Sing at the gas stations, at the nursing home. I remember this one kid, I was at the barbershop one day and this kid came in, he had written a book. And he was like, I need to do a book signing. He's like, but I don't have a place to do it. I was like, do it right here. And he was like, the barbershop, and started laughing. I'm like, you laugh. But keep in mind, they ain't a motherfucker in town don't know about this barbershop, okay? First and foremost, they've been good to you. Secondly, and you're saying that you don't have a place to host it. And now you get one dropped in your lap and you laugh at it. That's why you ain't got nowhere to host your book signing.
Right.
That's why. Is that. He wound up doing that book signing at that barbershop. You know what I mean? But the moment you said it in the barbershop, you know, the idea came your way. You took it as a joke initially, but it worked out for you in the end. You know, nursing home, gas stations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do what you gotta do. You know?
We all start from the bottom.
Yep. Yep. Any parting words, boss?
Just take advantage of every opportunity you get, man. You know, doors don't open by themselves. And if you're not there, they'll open for somebody else.
Wise words to live by or to die to.
That's right.
That's it for another edition of Peanut Butter Magic. Tune in next time. For Boss 10, this is Sway Low. We signing off. Peace.
It's the peanut butter magic.